God, is that you? Or is it psychosis? What's up everybody, it's Charlie and I'm back. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the difference between psychosis and a real interaction with God. So this is a question that I have wrestled with a lot in my life because I am both a psychotic person and someone who is very religious. I often find myself trying to figure out the exact line between where my psychosis and delusions end and where my real interactions and relationships with God begin. It's not always been easy for me, and I would say before I was medicated, it was a lot more blurry of a line than it is now on this side of medications. But I wanted to talk through what my experience has been like on either side of those aisles, because I know it comes up a lot. If my faith is real or if it's motivated from psychosis. To give you guys some background about me, I grew up in predominantly Christian schools, so I've had formal education about the Bible basically from inception. I took that to the next level by attending a Christian college and by participating in Christian leadership development cohorts sporadically throughout my adult life. So Christian education and the apologetics of God's existence is never something that's been a question for me. What's really been a question is what that relationship looks like, what God is to me, how God interacts with me, how I react to God, how I hear God, how our relationship looks in the real world. I would say before I was medicated, it was a lot more tangible, to be honest. I could physically hear God. I would feel God. Through all of my senses, I had the experience of interacting with God. On this side of medication, I don't have as much physical reactions to God, but I do think that my faith is still strong because of the experiences that I had pre-medication. If you're a family member of somebody who has schizoaffective disorder or schizophrenia or another psychotic disorder, I would recommend that you don't try to convince them out of their relationship with God, but instead talk to them about what the details of that looks like. What is God asking from them, and making sure that they're bringing that back to whatever truth they believe. For me, I've always believed that my faith needs to be logically consistent, that everything that I believe needs to be actionable, and it needs to be something that I do and that I can do and still interact well in society and still keep my integrity. And going back to my other video, integrity is the reputation that you build with yourself. And so through my faith, I try to build my reputation with myself. And I think that that's a good way to look at it if you are a psychotic person or a loved one of a psychotic person, that if used correctly, religion and faith is a good way to build your reputation with yourself. It's a good way to build confidence and to build love and to have built-in support. And why would you ever want to take that away from someone you love? It's not something that I've ever wanted to lose, and it's something I was actually sort of scared about when I first started taking medications and I stopped having as physical experiences of God as I did before. I was worried that I would lose part of myself, a part that I really loved. And that's a reality that people with mental health need to wrestle with. And it's just not helpful if your family tries to rush you through that process. The two biggest things that have helped me are, one, being able to back up my beliefs with scripture, and two, being able to trust my community to be like a sounding board to help me figure out what things are delusional and what things are true. I think as a person with a psychotic illness, I can't just rely on backing up my truth with scripture, because I can read anything that I want into the scriptures. Not just people with psychotic illnesses. This is true of everyone who reads a faith text, that it's so easy to read whatever beliefs you already have into the scripture. But what I really needed to do was to take my faith and put it into action. I needed a community to come alongside me to help make sure that my faith was based in reality and not just on delusions. Thanks to those two things, I've been able to treat my psychosis in a way that allows me to keep my faith and for it to keep growing. My faith has been an anchor for me during my mental health crisis, and I really wouldn't change that for the world. On this side of medication, I still have not lost my faith. I still am a grateful believer who knows that I could not do this without God. But I also do know that some of my experiences were delusional. I do know that God hasn't asked me to be a chosen prophet to the world, but I do know that God has chosen me to preach a message and to share my truth. And that's something that God calls of everybody.